All right, what's up, guys, and welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Tuesday, our Traders Talk Tuesday, our Tuesday afternoon, of course, right here in the Cyber Group Trading Room and streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike, guys. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear, more now than ever, just because I had a small little hiccup right before we started this broadcast. My internet froze up. Great to see Mark, John, Dennis, David, Daniel, the D's coming on in the chat board there, trying to trip me up. Chuck, Mark, Sharon, Joe, Jeff, the J's right there. Patrick, Ron as well, loud and clear. So let's hop into it, guys. We ended up seeing, of course, the markets move up a little bit, but flatten out throughout the early afternoon. Looks like the Dow is trying to get back up there, at least for the meantime. High of the day on the Dow. We'll just take a quick look right off this peak here. I don't have the actual. Oh, no, it's right here. Little number right here, 26,314. It's got a little bit of a ways to go, about 50 or so points. But you could see, though, clearly the Dow is pushing up going into the afternoon. Hopefully we have a continued push up higher going into the close. We'll discuss some of the side list stocks in a moment, guys. But of course, with that in mind, what you see on the screen, I&O, I'd be remiss to not begin by going over this. So, super early in the morning, guys, I&O, Inovio Pharmaceuticals, a company that we've been following really since late January. With all of this Corona stuff started, I&O is one of the many pharmaceutical companies. They came out with news or speculation of a possible vaccine. We ended up seeing this not even back from March, going back into the beginning of late January even. This was really the first push that we started on the I&O. I guess it popped going back into late December, but we weren't trading it then. We ended up seeing this come out with news, much like a lot of these others, CODX, APT, which we'll get to in a moment. GNPX, if some of us in the trading room remembers that one, I think that was the first one that ended up popping based off Corona-related news. So nonetheless, we've been following this I&O stock, guys, for months now at this point, on and off. And as you could see in the pre-market here, right around 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, we ended up seeing a huge spike. So shortly afterwards, news came out. Inovio receives $71 million contract from U.S. Department of Defense to scale up manufacture of so-and-so smart device, procurement of, blah, 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 for COVID DNA vaccine. I'll post all of that stuff here in the chat board. Bunch of stuff a little above my pay grade here, but nonetheless, you could see the news came out early in the morning. We ended up seeing a hell of a pop, hell of a squeeze up. That's not to say, though, that I&O is going to make the type of move that it actually made. So to trade a stock like I&O, guys, I mean, once the market opened up, we ended up seeing a bit of a pullback, expectedly so. I mean, for such a pop to see a bit of profit taking at first, stock ended up dropping down towards the next whole number support that we called out right off 16. And you could see, I mean, the perfect bounce from 16, but not even from there. It was more so once this ended up beginning to break through a level going up through resistance. So we ended up seeing the 50-cent levels, the whole numbers, kind of like you see on the price axis on the right side. A lot of those levels holding very nicely throughout the day. But if anything, we ended up seeing more volume getting filled right away off 1650. Little pop and drop, but then the next crack, once it punched through the level, you could see this little pop here led to the gigantic run up afterwards. The I&O trade developed, almost the perfect trend throughout the morning, made a push up towards essentially 1850, ended up eventually breaking higher over time. So, I mean, guys, this thing has been just a monster for us today. Going into the close, we're easily going to put this on our main list. I would say, if anything, obviously, given the range, there could still be a lot of room to see this squeeze up. Not to say breaking new highs going into the close, that would be the dream. That would be the goal. But hey, I mean, to see this break cleanly over 21 coming up here and see this make, a 50, 75-cent push, that's very doable. So even just for that, I'm going to put this on our main list going into the afternoon, guys. I will say, though, that the gripe that I have on this trade is just the amount of volume the stock has been trading. So this stock typically trades about 30 or so million shares on average a day. Stock's trading 141 million at this point. So this is typically where I would say that given the run up from pre-market, given the move after the open, perhaps this stock has kind of exhausted itself out. So I'll put this on our list in hopes of at least, a 50-cent move, a 60, 75-cent move, perhaps up towards 21.75. Obviously, this thing has the legs to make an even bigger squeeze up. It's just simply that for a stock that made as big of a move already on I&O, I wouldn't necessarily guarantee or really expect a second clean move like we saw earlier today. See it run up 7 points. I wouldn't really expect that going into the close. All right, guys. If that happens, God bless. But, you never want to try and shoot for too much, because if the stock ends up making a more underwhelming move and you're not ready to take the profit, you could end up getting right back to break even before you know it. All right, so INO, at least for right now, we'll put this on our main list. Hopefully, it's just as easy as it was from earlier today. The APT trade, another Corona stock. We were mentioning this just before alongside the INO trade. Now, I will say I don't know what the news is on APT. A little ignorant today to the news. Trade the volume, trade the momentum. So, of course, right now, and we've seen Dom call this out in our trading room just before. APT right near the highs right now, off 18 bucks. The news that came out, let's see. I mean, this thing's been flying across the last week. We've been following this from Wednesday of last week, Thursday of last week, making a couple of huge runs. I don't see anything news related, at least from today, from June 23rd. I don't see anything from Benzinga Pro. If anybody here in the trading room here has any specific news, then let me know. But it goes to show that there doesn't have to be news to have a stock run up, 14, 15%, perhaps a hell of a lot more going into the afternoon. So APT, oh, actually, look at this. On the matrix, look at that, 77,000 share order on the ask. Now it's at 61,000. So it's starting to get filled. You could see the prints coming in green on the time and sales. So for right now, guys, that $18 whole number, that's a major resistance going into the afternoon. Looks like Jerry just picked up 30 cents in our trading room. He entered off of 1760. Very nice catch, Jerry. Give me a split second, in fact, guys, for all of us here in the trading room, at least, not the social. I'm going to just reshare my screen. Give me a split second here, guys. Screen's going to re-show in the trading room in a second here. There we go. All right, so it looked like it was frozen on my end. So yeah, APT, we're going to put this on our list. We had the major iceberg, the resistance off of 18 bucks. All right, so the hits will keep coming, guys. Actually, a call out from one of our students, Craig, live in the trading room right now. GNUS at the highs. Craig, fantastic call. I mean, could not be better timing, Craig. Thank you very much for typing that in the chat board for us. So GNUS, guys, genius. We ended up seeing them make a push leading into the open and popped shortly afterwards, but ended up dying off shortly afterwards. And up until now, this stock has made a strong push up to 3, breaking above that resistance for the meantime. So yeah, I mean, Craig, great call. Thank you very much. And we're going to add Genius and GNUS right to our list for right now. I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe I should have said this just a second ago, but first attempt testing a major resistance, it wouldn't surprise me if this fails here. Makes a pop and drop from 3. The next crack over 3, if there is one, I think there will be. But, if there is a second crack off of 3, my belief is that will be the run that will make the higher high. All right. I don't think there was any news that came out on Genius from pre-market as well. But while I have Benzinga Pro up for the meantime here. Oh, actually, no. Pardon me. Pardon me there, guys. Sound like an ass here. There we go. Genius Brands reports will retire all senior secured convertible debt. Company becomes debt-free, has $55 million in cash on balance sheet. So that's the news that was posted right in the trading room. I will post that right here on social, on the YouTube stream. All right, so I guess we had news that came out on GNUS. Big pop leading into the open. We called it out right before the open. Of course, right now, testing off of 3. So we'll look to see if this can make a second crack over resistance at 3 heading into the afternoon. All right, guys, so we had a couple of others. I had some shouts on YouTube here from IQ and then from LVS. We didn't really trade those guys, at least in our trading room. I called out IQ a little bit earlier. It was near the lows. It wasn't moving as strong as it is right now. But yes, nice new low right now, Doug, right from YouTube, saying that IQ is at the lows of the day. Big volume spike here. Let's see. 238. Just kind of a strip of these prints filled. 2375, 2370, some prints. Nothing really that stands out, though. If anything, 2375 from the chart was holding really nicely as support. So hopefully that could be your resistance there, Doug. I wouldn't mind coming back to IQ just at the end of this meeting. If we have a really weak list, if there's nothing else to really watch, I'll throw IQ on our list. All right. The same to be said probably for Las Vegas Sands, LVS. It's moving up a little nicely here, perhaps with the Dow, with the rest of the major indices squeezing up heading into the mid-afternoon. Again, LVS, tradable stock by all measures. Kind of the same thing with MGM. MGM new high of the day. This one's moving up pretty nicely. Penn National Gaming, we were calling out earlier as well while I'm on the casino stocks. Penn's up, what, 18% today? New high as well. I like this out of all the casino stocks so far, guys. So kind of just looking at Penn, I'll put this on our list for the meantime. Penn National Gaming ended up breaking an all-time high back 2 weeks ago. I have to say it was a really weak, lackluster all-time high. Just you could see on the daily chart there, that red candle, a little pop, then drop back down. That's actually an all-time high for Penn National Gaming. Typically, when a company has all-time highs, there's no historical resistance to work with. So you'd like to think it's going to allow for a really big squeeze up, dumped off right away after. So, not to say Penn's going to hit 40 today, guys, but obviously a very steady trend up already a lot, 18% across the day. So my guess is that this would be a more active stock heading into the afternoon, whether it continues pushing up or, hey, if we end up getting the pullback, if the markets pull back down, this comes down with it. If that happens, it is shortable. So just keep that in mind. It's a great side list stock to keep in mind, guys. If this was the same price as NCLH, I would be much more focused on Penn. I bring up NCLH because Pat just wrote here in the chat board, NCLH worth watching at $18. Hey, Pat, great call. Not bad. And I'm a sucker for NCLH, so I would love to throw this on our main list, but we'll keep it on the side. We'll come back to it. I wouldn't be surprised if I do throw NCLH of all stocks on our list here, just given the new high. Iceberg order filled off of 18. You could see that based on the time and sales right here, 63,000 share print on the tape, strip of prints afterwards. So 18 was the big level. It'll pop and drop this far. Look to see where this takes us going into the afternoon. We'll come back to this, though. All right, what we'll do is go from top to bottom, guys. We had a couple of others for those that we failed to recap briefly. If we find them on the gainers or losers list, we'll do just that. BRN, to bring this up very quickly. I went over this very briefly during Traders Talk, guys. We ended up seeing the BRN trade up big leading into the open. I guess it did pop at 9:30, but what's coming right afterwards. If there's a stock that's up 50, 100+% leading into the open, we almost always see profit taking, guys, to see sell off. I would never look to hold going into the market open. So we end up seeing the pop, and I guess you could have made some money there, but it ended up holding resistance off of 210. It fell back under 2. Look at where it is now. So unfortunately, this BRN trade was a nice little squeeze leading into the market open from 9 o'clock, but it was a bit of a dud afterwards. Maybe we'll see this, make a move back up at some point this week. If not this week, maybe next. I'm not going to bank on it and watch out for this stock every day. But hey, if this stock is, up big going into the pre-market tomorrow, if it's trading a lot more volume, I'll look at it. I'll consider it. But for right now, we're not going to put this on our main list. All right, we got a couple of cheapies here, guys. We'll just skim down this list for the meantime. TBIO, I saw Andrea call out in our trading room here a moment ago. TBIO is a wacky spread. Ended up making a steady trend essentially off 22, a higher low, running up towards essentially 25. Ended up dumping back down, though. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. The stock is shortable. So, if it's not breaking higher and if it's pulling back here towards 23 and under, could be a good short. I don't like the order book, though. I mean, it's like one of those low float, low volume type of stocks, TBIO. I don't like the spread, the lack of liquidity on the order book here. So, it's a good side list stock maybe to keep in mind for some point this week, maybe even tomorrow if we see a lot of activity in pre-market once again. But for right now, we'll pass. All right. I feel like that will be the theme for this afternoon, guys, because we ended up seeing a lot of stocks make some runs from earlier today. We already have we have 4 stocks already on our list. Good list thus far, but I feel like for a lot of these that have already made big moves, I wouldn't expect for them to make a second big move heading into the close. Here's the INO trade dumping back down pretty sharply towards 20. U1's back up here, up 32%. Ended up making a wacky little run up from 23, essentially up towards 27.50. We'll check in on U1K, the Class D stock. I'd rather focus on this given the tighter spread, liquidity. I mean, it moves with U1. So if U1 pops, U1K is likely to move with it. I'll come back to it. I like the activity across the day, but just because there's activity doesn't mean the stock is going to run up. So if U1 moves, this one will go up with it, but we'll check back in with this in a bit. Maybe if this could break above resistance off of 3, that would be a decent setup. FFHL, crazy, pop and drop. Ended up seeing this run up shortly after the open. Got halted a couple of times, guys. And we covered this actually during the audio commentary inside our trading room. hey, when a stock gets halted on the way up, you'd like to think it's a pretty good sign to see continuation. It's not always the case, but if we happen to see that, and if it happens to get halted a second time, a third time, obviously the more and more it goes, this thing is going to come back down real hard. We ended up seeing that happen with U1. We ended up seeing that happen with CARV. We ended up seeing that happen with Cohen, COHN, those low float pump and dumps. And that's exactly what you're seeing here with the FFHL trade. And I'll tell you what, given the run that this stock had back from last week, even just from Friday, to see it go from essentially 325, 330 all the way up to 5, have a gap up more in the after hours and pre-market running up once again, you had to figure this thing was going to dump back down. So right now, the FFHL, we're going to scratch. Maybe put this on our list at some point, again, kind of similar to the others. If this ends up showing stronger signs of life come tomorrow morning, come Wednesday, Thursday, whenever, we'll focus on it again, just not for the rest of the day today. All right, top ships. This thing has been a gigantic tease for us here in the trading room for years, really. I'm not going to give the whole story on tops and the shipping companies. We'll take a look at this one stock, SHIP, SHIP. Ended up seeing this make a really nice squeeze up, as it still is here. Looks like a lot of the shipping companies are squeezing here for right now, guys. SHIP, tops. I think there's also, if I'm not mistaken, DCI. Ooh, maybe they delisted DCIX. I think that was Diana Container. All right. Dry ships, I know they delisted. Those were all the shipping companies that we used to follow at the time. Guys, if there's anything else that you see from the shipping stocks, let me know. For right now, I'll add both of these just on our list for the meantime. They're not going to make the top of the list, so to say, but both are trending up nicely. Both are squeezing up pretty well. Tops has been known to be a big tease in the past, though, so just be a little careful. Obviously, very cheap stock, tight spread, but again, just keeping that in mind. Want to make sure that with tops, that we could see this make a clean break above resistance. You'd figure every cent would be some sort of, resistance or support. Not to say every cent is going to be as strong as the last or the next, though. So, this has been holding essentially underneath 19 for a little while. 19, you would assume 20 for that to be a major resistance coming up as well. If it can get past both of those, I'd like to think this can make a really sharp squeeze up going into the afternoon. So between tops and SHIP, we'll put both of those at least on our list for the meantime. This one's pulling back a little bit. All right, WKHS Workhorse. This thing has been holding strong. I'm not going to put this on our main list for right now, but over the last few days, it's been day over day over day almost, guys. Just a nonstop run up. I'll tell you, for that reason, I didn't focus on WKHS leading into the open today. So I ended up missing a small little squeeze, I guess, off of like maybe 680 up to 750 almost, but afterwards kind of pulled back, just trading in a tighter range, moving sideways, of course, right now. So good sideless stock. Once again, we'll pass on this at least for the afternoon. JMIA, Plug was a huge winner today. PLUG had a nice pop from 8:30, 8 o'clock time. We ended up seeing it make a move up towards 650. Ended up making a stronger breakout after the open. So from there, this was one of the bigger winners that we had across the day. I really like this stock, guys, and not even as much on the long side, more on the short side. For this stock making lower highs across the late morning, early afternoon, I was calling that out earlier. You could see once it broke underneath 660, it was a pretty nice little squeeze. I mean, it wasn't going to make you a whole lot of money unless if you were trading a lot of shares, but every trade begins with the entry. So at least you could see it's been a tradable short opportunity, even since just holding 7. But, for right now, we'll put this on our list. Maybe we'll make the bottom or a little bit above the shipping stocks for right now. My gripe on this is the same gripe that I had on I&O. Stock is trading a lot of volume this time of the day, guys. Stock trades about 12 million shares on average. It's trading 61.6 right now. So that's where I just generally say for a stock that's trading so much volume, a lot more than its average, a lot more than it usually trades, I'd like to think that the stock has, exhausted itself out. Given that it is shortable, I'll put this on our list in case if this continues to drop off. All right, so if there's any other familiar names, I'll just go through them very quickly here, but we'll hop over to the loser side here coming up. Yeah, LLNW shortable, which is really flat though, super flat. All right, that's it, guys. We'll hop over to the losers here. to begin, as expected, bunch of stuff hard to borrow. Don't want to just skip over those. I mean, if there's something like SNSS down 40+%, I'll look at it. This is a really cheap stock, and it doesn't seem like it's ready to, squeeze back up for right now. So, yeah, we'll scratch this from our list here. Kirk, KIRK, ended up making a bit of a drop-off after the open. You can see it's beginning to squeeze up. It is tradable by all measures, cheap stock. Little wacky as far as the order book. Tight spread right now, but I feel like it could open up pretty quickly. It is bouncing a bit. I'm not going to put this on our main list, but this is one from yesterday that made a hell of a move up. And this is the exact type of stock, like I said before, guys, that, if it ends up pulling back as it did today, we're not going to throw this stock out in the garbage or the trash. It wouldn't surprise me by the least if this ends up making a second little move up going into tomorrow, going into Thursday or Friday, maybe, or Wednesday or Thursday for that matter, guys. So, yeah, I mean, this Kirk trade, good side list stock as well, moving up at least here for right now. All right, SPR, that's right. I forgot about this one. SPR, man, one of the bigger drop-offs today, dropped off as soon as the market opened from essentially 26 all the way down to the low of the day, 23.10. Now, this is moving up pretty nicely, and hopefully there's still some room to see this squeeze up a little bit higher at this rate. Yeah, this SPR trade, it's hard for me to not put this on our list at this point. Tight spread, liquidity, not too pricey. It's moving off the lows pretty nicely for as big of a drop as it already made. A little squeeze up. All right. Let's see, guys. I think that does it now at this point. We have a decent list already. If there's anything that I missed, I know that you guys will clean it up for me. Let me know otherwise. Let's see, from Pat. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's go back to NCLH quick. It's floating over 18 for the meantime. I'm not going to put this on our main list, but you guys know, all of us here in the trading room at least, you guys know I love my NCLH. VNet from Jeff, he says it has strong support at 23.95. That was from a little while ago. So that Jeff's comment was about 6 minutes old. So he was making that call out before it ended up breaking below support at 23.95. Let's take a look. On time and sales, Jeff, you could see, yeah, on the bid, a bunch of red, a bunch of yellow here, which is pretty funky. But look at the size of these transactions, guys. 7,000, 6,800, 5,900. These all add up. So Jeff made a correct call out with support. Obviously, I was a little late to that call out. Ended up breaking right underneath that price. VNet's up 10%. It's a stock that I would consider this time of the day. It is shortable. It is making a lower high technically as of now. And you guys know what I say with that. I'll tell you, if you made money on VNet earlier today, Jeff, I wouldn't mind, or I mean, I'd say, for you to put this on your main list going into the close. For right now, I want to see if there's anything either making a stronger uptrend, stronger downtrend, something that has a more filled in order book. But decent call, and obviously off the support level. That was a great call off support. All right. Check back in on APT. APT failed to break out over 18. All right, that one's already on our list at this point. We'll take a look at CODX. Ooh, CODX is looking great here, guys. Now, I pulled up CODX from my scanner that just finished populating here. So CODX, another Corona stock that came out with news similar to INO, not to say today, but just across the last couple of months in speculation of a vaccine. So CODX, let's see. I'll tell you, nothing again, news related. So there's no news I see on CODX, at least from Benzinga Pro. Nonetheless, it's moving up perhaps in sympathy with the INO trade. But yeah, I mean, at this point, just a recent breakout above resistance, 1750. Then from there, right over 18, both popped right through both levels. It wouldn't surprise me the least, guys. I mean, hopefully it holds here and just pushes up, but it wouldn't surprise me if this pulls back to 1750 before it eventually moves back up higher. But yeah, the CODX trade I will add to our list, just off the recent activity. GNUS high of the day, says John. All right, so here we go. It took a couple of cracks, a couple of attempts. Notice the larger orders on the book here, guys. 306, 310, 316, or 315 there. So it's almost like every 5 cents, you're kind of seeing a larger order on the bid, a larger order on the ask. All right, I'm going to check in on YouTube, guys. Don't think I was missing out on you guys here. From Doug, he's saying box, BOX. Yeah, that was a big move from yesterday, Doug. And with that, it's pulling back pretty nicely right now. Yeah, I'm going to put this on our list for the meantime, Doug. That's a really good call. Tradable stock. I mean, kind of similar to a few of these others, like NCLH perhaps. But, Box made a huge run up yesterday. And obviously now, breaking new lows going into the afternoon. Shortable stock. Oh, there's a whole bunch of comments here on YouTube, guys. So I'm going from bottom to top here. I'm sorry. So kind of scrolling back in time, Peter was talking about the TBIO. He said he shorted TBIO. He was very lucky, and it was a good trade. I mean, hey, if you catch it early after the market opens, Peter, I mean, we talk about this in our live trading room more so, but, when a stock breaks through its first line of defense, so to say, that's a really good opportunity to try and take. So in your case, perhaps let's just, shoot from the hip and say off a whole number off 26, maybe off the bottom here at 2450-ish or so. Once it breaks that major level, you'd like to think you're going to put yourself in a good position to make money. And KSS worth looking at, asks Doug. Again, tradable stock. It's not up or down a whole lot. We've traded KSS, very recently. I put it, of course, kind of same line with Macy's. Macy's is slower, cheaper, but it's not really doing a big move up or down today. I just call this a tradable stock. So if the markets are making a really sharp move up or down, then much like KSS, Macy's would be in play. That's where I'd say the side list stocks like NCLH, UAL, DAL, et cetera, et cetera. There we go, John. Another call out from John C in our trading room. GNUS new high of the day. It keeps going. All right, perfect, guys. This is what we need to see. All right, but I'll tell you, though, we're repeating the same call out. So I think at this point, we're good. I don't think there's anything else that's making a good move without us here at this point, guys. Let's see. Checking lastly, Benzinga Pro. I mean, lift high of the day, tradable stock. So maybe that could be called out later on. Twitter at the low of the day. I mean, those are decent stocks to consider. I'm not going to put them on the main list for right now, but I think for the meantime, we have a really, really good list. Check in, I guess, U1K. That's the last one. It's not doing anything yet, so we'll pass. All right, guys, we got a good list. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I was going to say I thought there was less than what I had here, but 10 stocks in total. All right, guys. So for right now, I will tweet these picks out to all of us in the trading room, of course, across social media. And as always, guys, across social media, for anyone tuning in on Facebook Live or YouTube here, if you guys would like to learn more about CTU, Cyber Trading University, and what we offer inside our live trading room, just make sure that you call the phone number down below. One of our education advisors will just pick up, provide more detail. All right, guys, the good old line. Let's try and close out this Tuesday just as well as we had opened it up. Take care, guys.